I'm going to tell you what to do to lose weight. I lost 80 pounds in 5 months, and I didn't do it by eating smaller meals or calorie counting. I did it after I learned about the sugar that's hidden in all the healthy things that I was eating. And I think the best way that I can explain this is to give you this memory that I have. I remember the first time that I actually paid attention when my dad was making spaghetti sauce. My dad's a chef. And when I was looking at what he was doing, I understood why his sauce always tasted so much better than my mom's. I stood there and watched my dad put a cup of sugar in the pot of spaghetti sauce. And then he explained to me that sugar cut the acidity of the sauce. Well, you know what else sugar does, Wellness Warrior? It triggers our addiction. And we can't even taste it in the sauce. It's not our fault that we're overweight. This is how chefs are trained to cook. They're focusing on taste more than they're focusing on health. This is a purposeful deception that has huge implications for our ability to walk away from garbage. Today, I want that sabotage to end. I want to show you how to find the sugar that's hidden in the food you've been eating. Let's try something different. This week, we don't diet. Although I don't want you to stop doing a diet if you're doing one. What I want you to do instead is investigate. So every time that you eat, your body gives you feedback. But we have a hard time hearing it or seeing it because the food that we're eating is so engineered for maximum eatability that we're blinded to the information our body's trying to give us. It's time for us to put on our reading glasses and solve this mystery. Sort of like Jessica from Murder, She Wrote. Me and my mom used to watch that all the time. This isn't just another list of diet tips. The first essential step in weight loss is breaking the cycle of sugar addiction so that your body can finally start healing and release the excess weight you've been carrying for years. If this is the first time that you've heard that, it might also mean that this is the first time you're meeting me. Hi, I'm Violet. After losing 80 pounds, I created this channel. And I did that because I realized that most people are not aware that carbohydrates cause weight gain. So I'm on a mission to help as many wellness warriors as possible learn this information. We all need to know this. I'm glad to meet you. Please subscribe. But I don't want you to worry. You don't have to change anything yet. We're not changing the diet. We're only like 5 minutes into the episode, where Jessica would have just started looking at the clues. So we're gathering evidence. I want you to think about how you decide what you're going to have for breakfast, lunch, or supper. Often we're making that decision based on how we feel. What do I want to have? There's an emotional energy motivating what we have, and we don't even question it. This first exercise is to document the process and to stop us from mindlessly eating things based on fun, right? I want you to create a food feeling log. How are you feeling about the options you have? And then what do you actually choose? Because what you're going to notice is, first of all, we don't always write down everything we ate for lunch, even when we're tracking it when we're trying to lose weight. Sometimes, a lot of times, we leave off dessert. So what I want you to do is write down, well, first, how was I feeling? What feeling did I have when I chose what I was choosing to eat? Remember, eat exactly the same way that you would have done this before you found this video. And then write down exactly what you had, including dessert. Yes, people have dessert at breakfast. It's called fruits. Those are desserts. Then I want you to write down how you feel about an hour later. This is both how I felt physically. Was I bloated, tired? Did I have energy maybe? And how you felt emotionally. Was I anxious, disappointed? Was I calm? I'm going to give you the example of what it used to look like for me. I would have been excited about the idea of having, for example, pizza for lunch when I look at all my options. And I could have had other options there, but pizza was my favorite thing. And I might have had 3 slices of pizza, all dressed, my favorite, a can of soda. And if I decided to have fries, I likely would have had 2 slices of pizza. I probably would have had a granola bar for dessert. And about an hour afterwards, I would have felt sluggish and wanted to take a nap, which often happened to me in the middle of the afternoon. I would have a nap. And I also probably would have wanted to have another granola bar. Chances are I also would have been thinking about what I was going to have for supper, even though I would have eaten like an hour ago. So, Wellness Warrior, this is when Jessica begins to connect the dots. And I want you to look at what you've written down, and what you're going to see is that your words are telling you which foods give you energy and which food sends you on a sugar roller coaster that will leave you having more cravings. That's what was happening when I wanted another granola bar or cookies or whatever the other thing that I would have allowed myself to have, dependent on whether I was trying to be good or not. The Food Feeling Journal helps you to understand your personal sugar cycles, sugar addiction cycle. Now, you're going to need this information if you have any chance at having long-term sustained weight loss. So please don't skip this step. One of the hardest things for me was accepting that most of what I was eating was basically sugar. What I learned was that 1 ounce of flour, so an ounce is 28 grams, by the way, 1 ounce of flour is 21 grams of carbohydrate. 1 ounce of sugar is 28 grams of carbohydrate. So things like pizza, bread, pasta, made from a combination of flour and sugar, don't actually taste sweet. So this is why the second part of this investigation is so important. You're going to go look at the food in your pantry, in your fridge, right? You're going to look at the food that you eat, the healthy things, and you're going to read the labels. Now, I want you to understand something. The front of the packaging, that's marketing. Those are the words designed to make you feel safe and distract you from the ingredients list that's on the back of the package that the law says they need to be accurate with. And I mean, let me just tell you, the law's not trying really hard. They're not giving us an ingredients list that could help us to truly understand how much of what we're having, by the way. That's a conversation for a different day. The ingredients list is where you're going to learn how healthy or unhealthy the food you're eating actually is. This is when, again, we're going to pop on those reading glasses like Jessica, and we're looking for sugar and all the aliases sugar has, like dextrose, high fructose corn syrup, agave nectar, honey, syrups like maple, corn, and rice. And then we have fruit juice concentrate, evaporated cane juice, organic sugar, raw sugar. Those are, they add organic or raw to make them sound healthier. And all the other ways that they hide sugar in their product. And by the way, we just realized that, pretty much flour is sugar. So all the different places, right? I want you to think about things like this that don't taste sweet, and yet a serving of this is 25 grams of sugar. Now, I can tell you that the amount that's actually in here, I would eat much more than a serving of this. I probably eat at least half of the package, which would be 2 servings. There's 4 servings in here, in which case that's a whole 50 grams of sugar that I would have had. And if you're looking at something like this, which I totally would have used to put on my meats to make them taste great, because barbecue sauce is just an amazing way to make all meats taste delicious. Most people are not aware that barbecue sauce has, well, first of all, a 2 tablespoon serving size. 10 grams of carbohydrate in 2 tablespoons of this stuff is 2.5 teaspoons of sugar. And yes, for all the bakers who just went, you're right, that's almost a tablespoon. So that means that of the 2 tablespoons of this that's a serving, 1 tablespoon almost is sugar. What we've just done is taking the very healthy chicken or steak or pork or whatever we put this on and made a very delicious, savory sugar bomb that's ruining our weight loss progress and triggering our cravings. And that's not even the worst part. You're not using 2 tablespoons of this stuff. Nobody is. You're pouring it on liberally, and then you're putting some on the side to dip your meat in while you eat it. Wellness Warrior, this is why I'm telling you that you need to see the numbers with your own eyes to really grasp what you've been eating in order to break the spell that food companies have on us. We are constantly told that moderation is the key, but how can we moderate our sugar consumption when companies do all they can to hide the sugar from us? These nutrition labels, by the way, these nutrition labels have complicated ways of writing things so that you look here and what you see are carbohydrates, sugars, fiber. This is a purposeful complication to trick those of us who might not know that carbohydrate and sugar are two words for the same stuff into misunderstanding that we should be paying attention to that word carbohydrate. When we understand these ideas, we realize that our weight loss struggle happens because the healthier home-cooked meal is being sabotaged by the hidden sugar. And it isn't just the sauces. Like I said, we have stuff like this, but even worse, if you just eat regular rice, a serving of rice is 45 grams. That's 12.5 grams of carbs. But since most people will eat a cup of rice, well, that's 158 grams of rice, which is 44 grams of carbs. But if you happen to be from the Caribbean, like my family, well, you're not having 1 cup of rice. You're probably having 2 or more. And now we've just raised the amount of rice on your plate, and so the amount of carbs on your plate has doubled or more. Do you see the problem? Be honest, Wellness Warrior. Were you aware the amount of sugar in the garbage you were eating? Did you know about it? And if you were aware, were you just ignoring it? Or is the problem that by companies calling it carbohydrate, you weren't afraid of it? The doctor told you to avoid sugar, not carbohydrate. The trainer told you to avoid sugar, not carbohydrate. Nutritionists talk about sugar. Do you see how they're tricking us? The sugar that's in rice, fruit, and vegetables is the same sugar that makes you want to eat the cookies that you actually know is going to make you fat, right? You know the sugar in cookies makes you gain weight. It's these other sugars that push us toward, they are turning on your cravings, Wellness Warrior. And then you blame yourself for not having willpower against the cookies. If that just hits you in the face, like it did when I figured it out, and this is making sense, I want you to do 2 things for me. First, hit the subscribe button and turn on that notification so that you don't miss step 2 of what you're going to do after we do our investigation of the food you've been eating. I'm bringing that video to you next week. We are building a community of wellness warriors who are done with the lies and ready to get our lives back. The second thing that I want you to do is please join me in thanking these channel supporters. You guys are the reason that I can create this content without any kind of compromise, right? If you want to help this channel to grow, you can learn more about these guys. If you want to become one of them, in the description below, there are all the links of how to do it down there. Now we're at the fun part, where Jessica explains the who did it part of the story. Which food is the food that causes you to go off the rails? I'll go first. In my normal, not dieting everyday life, it was chocolate. I never had 1 chocolate bar or 1 piece of chocolate. I would have one of those gigantic chocolate bars, or if there was a regular size, I'd have 2. That's how out of control I was with chocolate. And if I happened to be dieting and I did well in my diet, first of all, I wouldn't be touching chocolate because I at least knew that. But I would have a celebratory piece of pizza, which would turn into 2 pieces, 3 pieces. Next thing you know, I was off the rails because I wanted to now have pizza every day because pizza was my favorite food. Which food made you feel bad and pushed you over to your cravings, Wellness Warrior? We aren't banning the food yet, but you need to actually give it a name and know who it is if we're going to have any chance at changing this for you. Your weight isn't the problem. Your weight is a symptom of your body's struggle. Your body's overwhelmed by the sugar and being on a hormonal roller coaster every time you eat. This week, your detective work is helping you to take the first step to fixing the real problem that's been happening in your life and helping you to pack on the pounds. You're taking your power back from these companies. I want you to know what I discovered, Wellness Warrior. So I want you to go to your pantry right now and find a hidden sugar garbage treat and tell me in the comments what it is and how much sugar it has. You're going to be shocked, and you're also not going to be alone, because I want everybody to comment what you found. Since this is such an important step, this first step of seeing it with your own eyes, I'm actually going to give away a free coaching call to one of you wellness warriors who comments down below what you took from your pantry, what it was, so what is it, and how much carbs was in it. I'm going to do that as soon as we hit 10,000 likes on this video. So I want you to share the video and leave your comment. As a matter of fact, you know what? This is so important. What I'm actually going to do is give 5 away if we hit 25K before the end of August. I want to know what you guys found, and I want this video to move to as many people as possible. So share the video and get down there and comment. I want to help you succeed at weight loss, Wellness Warrior, and that begins with you knowing what foods are causing weight gain. Leave your comment and share the video.